In life, you don't risk anything. You risk everything.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. That's our quote of the day. I suppose there's probably going to attack a few different people because I think we've been lulled into a false sense of comfort.
Yeah. I mean, you are risking everything because well, maybe not. Maybe that is an extreme. Let me play devil's advocate. So why wouldn't it be risking everything? Like, we need to come up with a scenario. I go for soy milk instead of normal milk in my cereal.
Yeah, but it's not talking about the minuscule day-to-day decisions, is it? It's talking about the whole... Yeah, it's talking about life as a whole in reality, isn't it?
Big
you risk
decisions.
everything. You should feel like you are trying to risk everything to gain a better life, to become a better version of yourself, to grow as a human. If you're not risking anything, you're not standing to gain anything.
Yeah. And also, you don't feel... Yes, you're not going to feel the lows of if it didn't work, but you're also never going to feel like you've achieved anything.
Yeah.
Because you've never had anything no skin in the game.
You need to have the highs and the lows. Life is naturally a balance. You want to live a life that is somewhat balanced. You're not always chasing extreme highs and always experiencing extreme lows. There needs to be some sort of consistency. However, if you don't risk, if you don't step up to the plate to have a swing, you're never going to really progress. If you keep your life comfortable, day after day, the monotony, the consistency after a while is just not going to allow you to grow as to a better human, whether that's professionally, in relationships, however it might want to play out in your life. You're not going to grow as a person, are you?
No, exactly. It's one of the things I wish I had a higher threshold of, which is risk tolerance.
Do you not think you have a high risk tolerance?
Maybe, but I wish it was higher.
How do you think one could get a higher risk tolerance?
By taking risks.
Are these calculated risks, or are these just...
Yeah, always. So I make sure I've always got enough money, for example, to where I can buy studio equipment and not have to rely on next month's paycheck to survive. So that's a good place to start in understanding I'm not a maniac. I also don't get into debt for things in my studio. It's just I buy it as and when I can afford it.
Yeah.
The buying future equipment, editing software, signing up for monthly subscriptions for things that are going to help my business, currently I justify absolutely fine. Where I wish I was willing to take more risks and could have more confidence in taking the risks is in big productions, like hiring a team of editors, not just one editor, hiring cameramen, not just one cameraman, hiring whoever I need, lighting engineer, sound engineer.
So what you're saying there is you are weighing up the risk versus the reward, or the possible cost of taking the risk.
Yeah, and right now the risk is more than I would have ever made on a long form video. But if I was more risk tolerant, I'd be like, yeah, but the quality of this video would be way better, and therefore you would make a lot more. But I'm not willing to take that leap of faith into the video. It seems to me like that's trying to win the lottery rather than...
So it's, like you say, taking calculated risks where the reward isn't winning the lottery, but the reward is steps towards a better life. So taking a look at the options in front of you, which is, if I apply for this new job, I might get a salary increase, more benefits, I might be able to better support my friends, my families, my loved ones. That's a calculated risk. Whereas maybe completely switching jobs when you have no savings to fall back on maybe isn't a calculated risk. The fallout could be a lot worse than what the possible reward could be.
Did you say quitting a job without having one to directly go into to then...
Yes.
Yeah.
Not one to go directly into, no savings.
Yeah, that's not wise.
Yeah. Exactly. So, but it's understanding in life you do have to take risks. Because say what's the alternative of not taking risks? You'll likely live a very comfortable life, very sustainable, maybe unimaginative, uninspired.
Yeah, you'll feel the weight of your life's restrictions every day. You're in Tesco's, your kid says, "Oh, I want this thing." It's like you've genuinely got to consider it's that or the rent. Or maybe your life is comfortable and you're earning 50 grand a year, your rent's only £1,000 a month, and you've got you can afford that and your bills aren't too high and you've got a paid for car and whatever. So you've got a £2,000 buffer every month. Like, then maybe you're not considering everything. You don't need to really push it really far. But
I suppose, yeah, there's different levels to this, where a risk might be, like you say, choosing to buy a treat for yourself or feeding your family, or it could be you are very comfortable and a risk is a somewhat of unnecessary or a big life change. But it also plays out, I suppose, in relationships as well. If you're someone that is feeling quite lonely and insular and doesn't connect with people, a risk to go out and talk to people or connect with that man or woman that you're feeling attracted to, that is a risk. You're stepping out on a ledge where you don't know what's underneath you. You don't know if the ground is stable. You don't know if the rug's going to get pulled from underneath you. But if you don't risk it, you're not going to gain anything. You know, so you know what's behind door A. Door A is the same. Door A is a lack of growth. Door A is consistent monotony. Whereas door B, sure, there might be a lion or a tiger there to sort of bite you, or it might be the best decision you ever made, and you don't know until you actually try it. And it's being brave enough to take door B rather than consistently picking what feels safe and stable.
John Bellion's got a great quote to do with this. It's obviously in the context of music, but you can apply it to anything, which is you will only be as successful as in relation to how silly you're willing to look. And like instantly, yeah, but what are the words? It's like I put myself out there. I did that. I repeated it before I had the video that took off. Look silly, because it didn't perform well. Then suddenly one took off. Suddenly I'm a genius. It's like you're only as successful as silly as you're willing to look.
You got to be willing to step out on a ledge, look silly, whether that is actually looking silly,
yeah, which is
or whether that's feeling silly, or whether that's being bad at something you've never tried. You've got to be willing to step out on a ledge and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because if your inconsistency, you're in the day-to-day where you know what's coming, it doesn't inspire growth. However, if you step out on a ledge, there's so much more opportunities and outside influence that can have a life-changing effect. So when you don't risk anything, you don't gain anything. But when you risk everything, you stand to gain everything.
Yeah. And also, if you're coming from a place where you don't have much to lose, you don't have anything to lose. Like, you can just do things risk-free, essentially. Like, people who earn 12 grand a year and are scared to take a risk on buying something because it might get them to... You've got nothing to lose. Like, I think the fear comes with, like, I want to hold on to the little things that I have got because it's terrifying to let go. Like, it's a big part of your world. If you want to buy, I don't know, a course or a piece of equipment for £1,000 and you only earn 12 grand in a year and you need to pay your rent and whatever, that's a big risk, but you can always get a 12 grand a year job.
It's also, as well, I suppose people don't choose taking risks because, you know, they're comfortable with the life they have and they can see the longevity of it. Whereas it's everything we've spoken about before. When someone is comfortable, yeah, it does breed a sense of security. But once you step out of that security, you stand to gain so much more.
Absolutely.
And more, again, can be anything. It can be in business, it can be self-employed, it can be professionally, personally, interpersonal, relationship-wise. There's so much someone can stand to risk. And really, to live implies that there is inherent risk anyway, because you can't live life without some sort of risk.
Every time you go for a walk, you can die. But nobody's weighing that up.
I'm sure there probably people are that weigh that up.
Well, you never see them because they're inside. They weigh up like too risky.
Yeah, and think what sort of quality of life they have. Though as it's something we're laughing about, it's true. What quality of life do we think they're having?
Yeah.
Probably
great.
Pretty poor.
I want to go back on something I said because I've reflected on it.
Wow.
I said quitting a job without another one to directly go into is really silly. I just want to qualify that by saying I did that exact thing. I left accountancy so I worked in a place for 9 months, got fired, went to another accountancy firm. Day and a half in, I said, I'm not doing this, and walked out in a respectful way. And I had nothing to go into, and I haven't been employed since, and that was 3 and a bit years ago. Maybe not. 3 years ago, 3 and a bit years ago. So I have done that thing. So if you're thinking about doing that because you think it will better your life, like, absolutely go for it.
You did also have savings to fall back on.
I did have a few savings. That is another thing. And I was living with my parents, so I didn't have to pay rent.
Yeah, so we'll caveat that. But absolutely, if you don't take risks, you can't grow as a person. You can't become the best version of yourself. You know, it's only through the trials of life does one become stronger and more equipped to face life. You know, who do you want on your side? Someone that's got a plethora of lived experience, or someone that's spent their entire life in their hometown in the same job for the last however many years? You know, who do you think's going to tell you a better story? Who do you think's going to be more inspiring? The person that's taken a risk. The person that fell in love and was aware that they could lose it. They took a risk on that person. They took a risk on themselves. Risk inspires change. But again, it's always calculated.
Yeah.
But I also think there is some element to be, some merit behind making sometimes calculated risks that even though you've calculated them, you go, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it anyway. Because sometimes you need to know.
Risk is fun as well. And I think if risk isn't fun, then it's probably not a risk you should take. I think there should be an element of excitement about the outcome. If you're going to take a risk that you don't really stand much to gain from it, like, I mean, why would you take that risk? You know, it just doesn't make sense. For example, this podcast is an example of a risk that I've taken. Like, it's a lot of time and editing, and you know, it's great and it's good fun. The risk is every time I'm working on this, I'm not working on Will Taylor, but we stand to gain a lot from this podcast when it works.
When it works.
And I believe that it will work.
Me too.
And if there's one thing I have learned, it's trust your own intuition. Like, if you can see something and you can see a rough path there, you know the route, you've got to go for it, because you're never going to get clearer signals than that it's going to work.
Sometimes the path isn't always going to be clear, but you can somewhat see the end goal, and you've just got to kind of hack away at the weeds and make the best path you possibly can. And sometimes you might deviate off course, you might come back on. You've just got to keep trying. You
win in the weeds. Is that a Gary Vaynerchuk quote?
I have no idea.
I think you win in the weeds. It's exactly what was I saying to you the other day. The quickest way to make 10 grand a month is to try and make 1 grand a month.
Yeah.
Because if you can make 1, then it's very easy to get to 2. And it's exactly the same podcast. The quickest way to get to 1 million subs is to get to 1 subscriber. And then after you got to 1, it's to get to 10. After you got to 10, 100, 100, 200, 200, 300, 300, 400, 400, 500, all the way through to 1,000.
Well, we're trying to get to 400.
We are. And we're, 14 away?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've gained 2 subscribers from our actual videos. Absolutely wild. So subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help us out. And once we get to 500, we can unlock memberships and super chat, so potentially get some memberships in, and we can maybe even do the whole members first type of scenario. If you're a member, you get early access to all of our podcasts, and we're recording a hell of a lot in advance, so it'd be a good thing to if you see that we're over 500 subs, become a member, because there's at least going to be like 50 podcasts.
It's going to be a big
in
backlog.
Advance. Yeah. So if you're driving to work or watching on your telly, become a member.
Yeah, we're risking. We're taking some big risks with that, but they're calculated and we're enjoying them.
What things go through your mind when you are about to take a risk?
That's a really good question.
You can apply it to any scenario. It doesn't have to be business. It can be personal. It can be related to whatever.
I think what goes through my mind is just trying to align myself with what feels like the most authentic answer. You know, leaving my job is a risk, but it feels like the most authentic decision I can align with myself. And it feels like it would be the risk and the decision that would bring me the most happiness. Because really, in life, you do just want to be happy. You want to chase happiness. Sure, it's not a destination. It is an emotion, so it's not a constant. But you want to chase that feeling as much as possible and feel fulfilled in your pursuit of it. So for me, when I'm taking a risk, is this something that's going to bring me joy? Do I see the legs in it? Do I see the sustainability in it? Is it something I'll be happy to pursue? It's probably the right thing.